Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me as always on Tuesday, Mr. Matthew Rooney, Andy, and it's his birthday today. Go over
Happy
to the
birthday,
BetSperts
Andy.
Golf channel, say happy birthday to Andy, and check that show out. Of course, he'll be back tomorrow. But we bring in Mr. Rooney, talk a little baseball, talk a little hockey. We had that basketball game last night, and guess there
It
were
happened.
points of it where it was within a few possessions for like maybe 3 minutes in the first half overall, but and kudos to Connecticut, right?
They
We
played
should give
great
them all the
all
credit in
tournament.
the world to make that tournament so boring, to make the most interesting tournament basically besides them. I mean, I think they beat everybody by double digits or something. That's just, woof.
Yeah, like the Miami game in the Final Four, like Miami had done that at points. Like Texas, they were down and they had to make a big comeback. I just kind of expected them to get hot and like find a way to make it a game again. Then they didn't. And then San Diego State, like last night, it just kept seeming like every time they tried to make just a little bit of a run back, Connecticut would sniff it out and just completely put their foot down on them again. It was dominant. There's really not a team that was ever really all that close to beating UConn. And I don't want to call that a boring tournament because it's still fun to watch teams dominate that much, but it does seem down the stretch. I mean, we got the great buzzer beater in FAU, but just every game that UConn was in was a pretty much utter dismantling.
I'm looking, and there wasn't. It's all double digits here. I mean, they came out. San Diego State tried to do their thing. I mean, played physical defense, tried to get control of the game, but just got crushed. I mean, that
It
was
just
so.
every once in a
Kudos to
while you just
anybody
run
on
into a team
UConn.
that's that hot, and they were that hot. There was just that was they beat the teams that were in front of them. They might not have been the best of competition at times, but they just beat the teams in front of them, beat the brakes off them for the most part.
Yeah, as you said, Dan, a lot of people I think were on UConn. Our buddy
Yeah,
Tim, if you picked up that sheet, was all over that. So kudos to anybody that got UConn midseason, just before the tournament. You got some great numbers, and man, that was real easy. And imagine, hopefully, somebody picked UConn in their bracket somewhere. I don't know about you, Matt, but all my small bracket pools, none of us picked the champion.
I did not have you. I don't think I was 0 for the Final Four, and I think all my teams were eliminated fairly early. Or I guess Houston wasn't eliminated early, but yeah, Houston was probably one of my teams that made it the farthest. So yeah, not great for me. Not a great bracket for me, but that's okay. That's what I get for waiting until about late February to actually start watching college basketball and paying attention. That's probably what I get. So I'll take that. I'll wear that one. That's on me.
I can dig it. Let's move forward. It's time for me to get back to besmirching college basketball at every possible opportunity.
Some
Thanks for
pro
the great
hoops.
4 weeks. Let's get back to it. And I wish that Pro Hoops was honestly going to be any better, but there are 13 games tonight, Matt. What do you think the average spread over all
Oh
13
God.
games are? Just give me a guess.
I'm gonna guess it's abnormally high. Let's go 8.5.
You and Dan did a great job. Dan hit it exactly at 9. You were within half a point. Yes, the average spread tonight over 13 basketball games is 9 freaking points. It is just a messy time of the year. I do have a couple looks. I'll quickly talk about some of the other games. Bucks 13-point favorites over the Wizards. Would like to play the Wizards, but no Kuzma, no Beal pass. The Toronto Raptors play the Hornets. Would like to play the Hornets, but literally everyone's done at this point. No PJ Washington, no Dennis Smith Jr., no Terry Rozier. Just happy to pass on that one.
The Hornets are
The
bad
Minnesota
when my Bulls still even blow them out. The Bulls never blow out bad teams. They beat the Hornets by 30 the other night.
It's not great. Timberwolves short favorites in Brooklyn, kind of like Brooklyn there, but Minnesota really getting themselves into form. Your Chicago Bulls, 3.5-point favorites over the Hawks. I guess you just play Hawks team total overs over and over again until you die, and that just sort of works. But your Bulls should get it done. We'll see how that goes. It could be a
Dan and I should have a
play-in
mayor's
tournament
bet.
preview.
We should have a
I think
mayor's
you
bet
guys
on
will
this
figure
one.
something like that.
Or if
Well,
it's
the fun part
play-in
is
tournament, I
Dan
think
will
we
want
have
to
to.
bet the Bulls.
Yeah, and I will probably say I don't want to touch the Bulls. I
That's
think
good. You
Dan
can bet the Hawks.
I
And he
think I
can
might
bet the
feel a little
Bulls.
bit better about the Bulls right now with how they're playing because they have been playing better basketball as of late. But like, I still can't be too optimistic about what I've seen on them this year. But I think Dan and I, for the most part, throughout this year, have felt the exact same way about our teams. Just like, kind of hate watching them.
That'll be a lot of fun. The best game of the night, Sixers Celtics. Sixers 2-point favorites at home makes perfect sense. Exactly where I have that line. Nuggets Rockets, again, 9-point favorites. I don't know what you do there. The Grizzlies are 17.5-point favorites over the Trailblazers.
Good God.
I don't know what you do with that number. Portland playing nobody, but 17.5 is
17 and a
huge.
half in an NBA game. I don't remember the last time I've seen that.
The Pelicans 4-point favorites over the Kings, which I now realize is the opposite of the way I thought the line. So Sacramento must be missing some guys tonight.
Okay.
Happy to skip over that one. Thunder, Warriors. Warriors have been great at home. They're 8-point favorites. The Thunder not playing their best basketball, but 8 might be a little too high. I left that one alone. And the Phoenix Suns now 19-point favorites over the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs just arresting everybody. So again, a really messy slate. We got only 5 more nights of this nonsense, and then we finally get into the postseasons. But
Well,
two looks I do like. Two teams really struggling here on offense. The last couple weeks, 2 team totals just look too high to me. And I'll start with the Detroit Pistons. They will be without Marvin Bagley tonight, kind of their last good offensive player. Jaden Ivey, again, will be great at some point, is doing a lot of good things on the court, but just really struggles to lead an offense at this point. They play against a Miami Heat team that is really locked in at this point, needing to win all these games. Bam Adebayo might play, he might not. I don't really care, even though it's in Detroit here. Miami's going to lock this team down. I had this closer to 101, so happy to take 104, 103 and a half, anything in that range under. Again, this Pistons team just without anything offensively, in the Heat, kind of peaking here a little bit late in the season. Should be interesting to see how they do in the play-in tournament. And then our Orlando Magic, as good as they've been, this just number is too high against a Cleveland Cavaliers team that is fully healthy tonight. The Magic have played them twice. They haven't got even to 100 points in those 2 games, with a pretty fast pace. Again, I'm not expecting it to be that low, but I had this closer to honestly 104, 104 and a half myself. So 109, there's 108, so anything in that range looks good. So 2 team total unders here. Again, 2 bad teams playing against good defenses tonight. Everything else just looks too crazy, even with 13 games.
yeah, that's it's funny you mentioned that because the NHL has a big slate tonight too, and that's kind of where I'm at. I was at looking at bets for night. I was only able to come up with 2 with their big. We can go. I know we got MLB next, but I just wanted to address the similarities there.
Yeah, it's a rough
Yeah,
time of the year. It's the end of the season. Not every team is trying. The ones that are, maybe are resting people. So it's a lot to
yeah.
sift through. Be careful.
I've been doing and I think I mentioned it the last couple weeks here. I'm a big fan of fading the bad teams against the good teams on the puck line, but we're getting to the point where I mean, the Blackhawks, the Flames, who aren't even a playoff team right now, are minus 155 to cover 1.5 at home against the Blackhawks. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I can't touch that. The Leafs, I think, are playing the Blue Jackets. They're minus 185 to cover that 1.5, so it's not there. But we got some run lines in baseball. Baseball
I
is where
like
we still
this.
have some value here, though. Still all minus money. I'll be honest with you. I parlayed all these three myself to get something about like I think it's like plus 535, something like that on DraftKings. But
Talk dirty to me.
3 games in Major League Baseball today that I'm going to go ahead and bet. Um, and we're sticking with that good team versus bad team type of trend here. The Astros have Framber Valdez, their ace, back on the mound tonight. They did lose at home in extras to the Tigers last night, and I believe Houston is actually they might be the last team remaining that hasn't had a day off yet. No, they played yesterday, so yeah, they have not had a day off yet. So they might be there might be a little bit of fatigue in the bullpen there. They did have to use that bullpen quite a bit against the White Sox, but they got their ace on the mound tonight against a very bad Tigers team who beat them last night, but baseball's a weird game and that happens from night to night. The Astros should cover that 1.5. So we're going to take that on them with minus 130 odds. The Guardians against the A's. Similar thing here. Cleveland's got their ace on the mound in Shane Bieber. They're going up against an Oakland team who did take them to extra innings last night in a close game. But with the Guardians getting back to their ace and Oakland being at the bottom of their rotation, they're really like Cleveland's value at minus 110, close to even money there at the minus 1.5. Cleveland's been playing really good baseball. They're 4-1. I believe they've covered 1.5 in all 4 of their wins. I could probably pull that up. But you can look it up yourself and tell me if I'm wrong or not. I don't have that tab open anymore. And then the Rays, the Rays are also a team that has covered 1.5 in all 4 of their wins. They're 4-0 on the year. They've started off the season against some pretty bad competition. They had the Tigers first. They have the Nationals now. So not necessarily a murderer's row of teams to face to start the year here. But I got them at minus 150, minus 1.5 here at minus 115. I'm also leaning towards an over in that one. It's pretty bad pitching matchup tonight. Chad Kuhl is throwing for the Nationals. He was very, very bad last year. Josh Fleming throwing for the Rays. He was pretty bad for them in spot starts and out of the bullpen last year. So this could be a spot for an over too, but I think the Rays also cover that 1.5.
I like all this. This is all
I'm
shaping
gonna
up
and
nicely, and
I'm gonna get to some total bases stuff coming up here. It's tough in the beginning of the year because with weird weather spots early, and you're not really sure necessarily who's starting out the year hot. Obviously, you got to wait a little bit, but once we get a couple weeks into the year, we're gonna start getting to some total bases stuff, which is I think probably my favorite thing to bet in baseball.
It is a fun bet to
It's
watch
fun.
and think about all that stuff. It is. It is. It's pretty great here, and I like what's developing in the chat. Dan and Alyssa are both actively finding ways to feel bad about both of their teams. This is great.
It's
Well, mostly
being a
Dan feels
Chicago.
bad.
Yeah, Alyssa's feeling pretty good about the Bulls. They've been playing good lately. I feel better about
Better.
the Bulls as well too. I like not that they're going to beat the Bucks or anyone significant in a playoff series, but like they could be what they were last year and maybe win a game against the Bucks or something. I don't know. They're playing better basketball. They're playing good defense. They're finally hitting a few threes. They're getting bench contributions. They're still not one of the best teams in the East by any stretch, but this is at least more fun than what they were the previous 60 games before Patrick Beverly got here, at least.
Oh, absolutely, and it's. I
This is
roll
the
my
team we
eyes.
thought we were betting their team total over on at the beginning of the year. If we
Exactly.
got this team at the start, we'd have already hit our team total over, which is not
It's
totally dead
exactly.
yet. Not totally dead yet. Did
I
we
think
get
it's
41 and a
41.
half?
I think we're done. What are
We
they? I know. I thought they were only at 36.
38 and 40.
38 and 40. All right. We'll
38
say
and
win
40,
3 in a
four
row.
to
We'll lose
play.
by a half.
Finish out 4-0. Let's go Bulls.
All right, let's do it. I like that. And Alyssa, I mean, again, just go with the centers here. It seems like with these Bulls games, it's either Vucevic or the center on the other team. So I'll go Vuce and Capella tonight. One of
There
each
you
there
go.
for the first score. But again, after 3 or 4 weeks of just some really great weeks of sports, we're back in the doldrums. We have to pay the tab here. It's going to be a messy week of NBA. It's a messy week of NHL. Baseball is very much new. And
It's
tennis,
Masters
we've
week,
got
though.
these funky transition tournaments. And we're close to some big things yesterday. Svitolina got the first set, was unable to get the second. We'll catch our Sastovich, Kenin over whenever the match finishes today. But just 2 plays for me here. Nothing in Bogota. Again, it's tough to handicap a tournament. Everybody transitioning to clay, especially at altitude. But in Charleston, 2 looks I like quite a bit here. Both of these will be this afternoon. The first one here, the first set over. Jewel Niemeyer and Katie McNally. This will be about 30, maybe 45 minutes after we finish the show. Over 9.5. Wasn't really able to stack things up, unfortunately. I mean, again, smaller tournament books really aren't hanging too many lines for this. So poke around. You should be able to find this, though. Over 9.5 plus 110. Looks like a really nice number to me. Again, expecting 6-4. Would probably play it over 10.5 too if I had a chance. And then Haley Baptiste is an underdog. The young American came through qualifying here, goes up against Wang Jiyu. Jiyu, a very good player, but not a lot of experience on this unique surface. Comes in pretty cold here. So give me the qualifier. And again, even before kind of some of those adjustments had this closer to, minus 160, minus 165 each way, as opposed to the 195 and maybe even a plus 200 out there if you look hard enough. So big underdog and a first set over. Both will be this afternoon. Kind of get you through today to, again, maybe the NBA, maybe the NHL, maybe you just watch the deep dive. Who knows? But you've teed this up. What do we got going on? I mean, again, it's the end of the hockey season. I assume we're just trying to get through this. So, what have you been able to pull out of the morass?
We are just trying to get through this. So I'm looking for still if I can find any value with good teams against bad teams. And I did find one spot there tonight. And then I found a total that I like in a potential playoff preview that we're getting here. I do want to bring up the standings just to confirm. But I guess both of these, I shouldn't say these are the first game tonight because both of these are 9:30 starts, and I'm sorry that of all the games tonight I had to pick the two with the latest starts. But we're going to start with the Kings and the Oilers. Believe that's in Los Angeles tonight. I'm about 95% sure. We're looking at a potential playoff preview here. It'd be a rematch of last year. They played and went to 7 games. The Oilers ended up winning 7 games. It was a really good back and forth series. The Kings sit a game or a point ahead of Edmonton in the standings with 100. These two are the 2 and 3 seeds in the Pacific Division. So they're looking at likely a first round collision course. So this is probably a playoff preview what we're going to see in a couple weeks. So I expect this one to be kind of a playoff type feel to it because they are still playing for something. They are playing for home ice advantage here. And a win for the Kings puts them 3 points ahead with only 4 games left. So that'd be a really good spot to be in. But at plus 100 for the under 6.5, I really think there's some value to that there. Edmonton's been scoring as of late, but their defense has also been better. They've have back-to-back shutouts, including a 2-0 win against LA a few nights ago. Excuse me. The Kings have also been playing pretty well. Their last 2 games, they won 4-1 and 3-1. So they're playing pretty good hockey. Um, I think this is, like I said, really just kind of a playoff type feel to it, a playoff type matchup, playoff type atmosphere and style, which is going to be a little bit more of a slower pace, a more physical pace, and I think a little bit of a feeling out process. But even for two teams that know each other, I think you see this game played pretty close to the chest. So I like the under 6.5. Right, that's a lot of goals at even money. And then this one's a little bit more straight up. The Avalanche -1.5 against the Sharks at +110. As bad as San Jose is, and thankfully for me, they're kind of playing themselves out of the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, or at least the top seed in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes for my Blackhawks to kind of take over sole possession of. They've won 3 in a row. Oddly enough, they've beaten the Jets 3-0, Vegas 4-3, Arizona 7-2. But Colorado's playing really good too, and I've been talking about them the last couple of weeks. They're starting to ramp up to be that team that just kind of ran through the playoffs fairly easily last year. They are 2 points out of the division lead, but they have 2 games in hand on Minnesota and Dallas, who are both sitting ahead of them. They just beat Dallas 5-2. They've won 4 out of their last 5. They're playing some very good hockey, and they're getting fully healthy for the first time really all year. So this is a scary time for Colorado to be kind of putting all these things together. And they have 2 straight games against the Sharks, so two games here where they're going to make up some ground against Dallas and Minnesota, and 2 games that they could get themselves back into first place. I think they do. I kind of think they roll the Sharks tonight. So Oilers, Kings under 6.5 at even money there. I think that's going to be a playoff type feel to it. And the Avalanche are getting going. We're going to take them -1.5 against the Sharks, who are playing surprisingly better, but at +110.
I always love that playoff feel angle. That's pretty good. And yes, Dan, you can't spell morass without ass. And that's a weird transition I could have just used there. I'll choose not to and pause for a second.
Yep. Just hang on.
I mentioned that if you want to go over to the Betsbirds Golf channel, I think Andy, and again, wish him happy birthday, and Noonan are picking their page pool live, Matt. Have you done yours already?
I did. Who did I pick? I had Scotty Scheffler was my tier 1. Am I giving away? Is it bad if I'm giving away?
Probably.
Because I mean, my picks are pretty. Well, I
mean, if you don't want to give them out, that's fine.
I don't mind. I went Scotty Scheffler.
I thought you weren't even allowed to enter.
That was just I'm not allowed to win, but I'm allowed to enter. Oh. I can win. I can enter for bragging rights. I went with Scotty Scheffler tier 1. I went to a couple live players that Brooks Koepka, who's playing well in tier 2, and Joaquin Niemann, who played really well at Augusta last year in tier 3. Tiger in tier 4. Kurt Kitayama in tier 5, who just got off. He won at Bay Hill. He's been playing pretty well. And then Charles Schwartzel, who's a guy who he won a Masters a whole bunch of years ago, and now just seems to, for whatever reason, play really well there every year. And it's pretty much the only time you hear from him throughout the year. But he seems to play pretty well there. So I went with him in tier 6.
A lot of fun names there, just literally fun names like Charles.
Yeah,
Schwartzel,
Charles Schwartz, not Charles. Charles.
It's like they just sort of stopped. Who knows? It's very fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see all the details down there below. Description in the YouTube and just about everywhere. It's free. It'll take you 5 seconds.
The thing. It's totally free. There is literally no downside to doing this. It's completely free. You can win a round of golf at a very nice golf course. I think we're giving away other stuff too. I have to double check on that. But there's just absolutely no reason not to. It takes 2 minutes. 2 minutes to sign up. 2 minutes to fill out the picks. Why not? Why not take a shot? Maybe you win.
I think Andy and I are going to do one tomorrow together. We'll see. I'll try to come up with
I like that.
To go through and do a little golf homework this afternoon because, thank God, that's true. I did forget we have the Masters at least this week to carry us. But man, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is rough. Ugh. We'll get through it.
We'll get through it. We always do. We always get through it.
And tomorrow we will be back to talk a little bit more. But again, sign up for the page pool. Thumbs up. Give us likes. All that good stuff. Put some comments in the bottom. Let us know what you think about what my possible transition was there at the end. We'll see you tomorrow.